Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another top 10 list. Today I'm taking a look at my top 10 horror picks that you can find on Netflix. Now, a couple of things to note here. This is Netflix in the UK, so all of these films might not be on your Netflix, depending on where you are in the world, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't check out the films if you get the opportunity. You really should. And I've done something a little bit different with this top 10 list. It's not really in any order, and I've done 5 horror films that you've probably pretty much heard of. They're very, very popular, or they are considered classics. And then there's another 5 films that you could argue are hidden gems on Netflix, which horror buffs will have heard of. But, you know, if you're searching around Netflix looking for a pretty decent horror and you're not sure what to pick, hopefully this top 10 list will help you navigate Netflix and choose some pretty good horror films, because every single one of these on this list, if you haven't seen, I would strongly recommend. So thanks for joining me, guys.
Now, sink into the floor. Wait. Sink.
So the first one we're taking a look at is, of course, Get Out, the Jordan Peele film that announced him on the world stage as a renowned horror director. It's a fabulous film. It's got so much running through it in regards to themes, narratives, but at the very core of it is an incredibly effective, creepy and thoughtful horror film that is one of those films, the more you watch it, the better it gets. It's an absolute classic, and it is, in my opinion, still Jordan Peele's best work as a director. So definitely one to check out if you've never seen this one. Absolutely you should.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Now, next on the list is one of the greatest horror films ever made. The original classic Halloween from 1979, the John Carpenter classic. There's been so many iterations of this film over the years, the different timelines. Probably some people have avoided this franchise possibly because it's confused them. Make no mistake, guys, if you've never seen the original Halloween, hang your heads in shame, really, and you absolutely need to check it out. One of the greatest films ever put to screen in regards to horror. An absolute stone-cold classic, and potentially it will inspire you to watch the rest of the films of the franchise. So absolutely no arguments here from many people. Check it out, Halloween, if you're looking for a really, really scary time.
I can still hear that voice.
What?
Now, coming in at number 8 on the list is Insidious, the original one, directed by James Wan. Now, again, this is one of those franchises that has spawned quite a few sequels, but in actual fact, all of the sequels are actually pretty much worthy sequels and worth a watch. It's one of those franchises that hasn't kind of dwindled off into obscurity and really poor quality sequels, but the original is still the best. It's got some genuinely frightening and creepy moments in it, some incredible jump scares, and it's beautifully made by James Wan. If you've not checked out the Insidious franchise yet, it's absolutely worth checking out. As far as I'm aware, I think the first 2 or even the first 3 are on Netflix, so it will give you a good start into the franchise.
Let me see your baby just for 1 minute. Let me hold your baby just for 1 minute. Let me hold your baby for 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Let me have her 1 minute, okay? 1 minute.
The next one is a Netflix original, and it is Bird Box, the Sandra Bullock film. that kind of blew a lot of people away when it came out. It is a top quality horror film. It has spawned a sequel, Bird Box Barcelona. It's decent watch, but it's not to the levels of the first one. And if you don't know what it's about, essentially there is some entity, and if you stare at it, it will kind of turn you and convince you to commit suicide. So everybody has to essentially walk around in this film blindfolded. You can't really look at anything, otherwise you're basically dead. It's really, really good, highly tense moments, and an incredible performance by Sandra Bullock as well. If you've never seen Bird Box, again, it's a no-brainer. You will absolutely love it.
He's coming for me. Who are you, Gabriel?
Now, the next one is another James Wan film. As you're probably figuring out, he's one of my favourite horror directors. And we have Malignant. Now, this caused a bit of a stir when it came out a couple of years ago. It divided the horror community. Some absolutely loved it. Some couldn't stand it. Some, just really couldn't figure it out. I'm in the camp of absolutely loving this. Does it make a lick of sense? No, when you actually sit and analyse it. But it's bloody entertaining stuff, and it's got a really cool original idea as well running through it. And there's not many horror films these days that you can say that will deliver originality. I'm not going to say an awful lot more about Malignant because I don't want to spoil it. It's got some cracking twists in it. If you've not checked Malignant out, it's on Netflix. Go and give it a watch. I would imagine many of you will be delighted with what you're watching. Now we're going to talk about some of the lesser known horror films that you may well find yourself looking at Netflix and deciding whether to watch them or not. And the first one I want to talk about is Blood Red Sky, an absolutely fantastic vampire film that essentially follows a female vampire that's got her child on a plane trying to get away, and the plane gets taken over by terrorists. She has to then go into full vamp mode to save herself, her child, the rest of the passengers, and deal with these terrorists. It's gory, it's bloody, it's action-packed, and it's a really, really fun time. Definitely check this one out if you're a fan of vampire films.
Thomas, your sister, she's gone. These people, they're blasphemers. A cult, a disease. Bring her home. Name? Thomas Richardson.
This one is also a Netflix original, and it's Apostle. This came out, I think, 2017, something like that. It's got Dan Stevens, and it focuses on his character that goes to an island that is run by a cult, essentially, and he's looking for his sister, who he believes is being held there on this island with this cult. Once he gets there, he does his own investigations, and he discovers a hell of a lot more than he bargained for. The film is brutal, it's gory, it's frightening, and it is very, very well made and very, very impactful.
Now, will you just please step aside and let me go? Stop. Stop it. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Now, the next film is Creep. I reviewed this fairly recently on the channel, and the sequel, Creep 2, and they are both on Netflix. So if you watch this film and you enjoy it, the sequel is available on Netflix. What is Creep? Well, essentially this is like a found footage film, and it follows like a documentarian who goes to film somebody who believes to be an interesting character, and the guy turns out to be an absolute lunatic. It's cringy, it's creepy, it's genuinely unnerving, and it's a film that it's not easy to forget, not easy to shake off, and it is very, very impactful. So I definitely recommend Creep. The next one is another Netflix original, and I suspect it's a film that many of you hasn't heard of or even seen. This, I believe, was my favourite film of the year when it came out, and I think it came out during COVID time, so there wasn't obviously a lot at the cinema that year. But what we have here is an incredible horror film that focuses on an immigrant couple that comes to the UK carrying an awful lot of grief and guilt with them. They have to try and set up and live in this country facing racism and all these stereotypes that they've got to put up with. But worse than that, the property that they're living in, there is some demonic force that is haunting them as well. It's genuinely upsetting, very, very frightening, and it works on two levels, this as a social commentary and as a horror film. Absolutely worth checking out, this one.
Let go of my arm, Jane. Let go of my goddamn... Hey! In nomine Domini nostri Iesu Christo ego crucifixivo.
And the last film that I want to talk about, a film that I think is a hidden gem, whether it's on Netflix or not, but it is on Netflix in the UK, is a film called Deliver Us from Evil. It stars Eric Bana, who plays a New York cop who is investigating a case that is seemingly demonic, with supernatural events, possessions, all this kind of stuff. It's actually based on true life events, and the character that Eric Bana plays is based on a real life police officer who ended up leaving the police force and becoming a demonologist. It's a brilliant film, very, very creepy, with an incredible central performance by Eric Bana. It's very, very scary, and at the very core of it, it's a deeply impactful possession film. So if you like possession movies, then this is definitely one you should be checking out. It's a really, really good one. I've always been a huge advocate for checking this one out, so you should do the same if you've never seen it. So, guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed checking out this list of what I regard as 10 really good horror films to check out on Netflix. If you're looking for a good creepy horror film to watch, every one of these are worth checking out, and thank you very much for joining me.